Hello YouTube, we're back again. C5X7 is sorter tester. We're sorting three non-equal strings in lexicographic order, basically dictionary order, but taking into account any of the characters you can type in ASCII, upper and lowercase, half ASCII, uppercase, half ASCII, or Unicode, whatever you like to call it. So again, we're comparing strings, and again, we're doing if statements, conditionals, booleans, all kinds of fun stuff. And here we go. So let's go and make, well, you know what? Again, I'm going to steal from the top of my tester here. This much. Okay. And let's make a C5X7 folder. C5X7 folder. And in C5X7, we're going to have sorter and SorterTester. We're sorting strings in basically alphabetic order. So new document, SorterTester.java, and SorterTester. So let's paste that stuff in there. Okay, so this is going to be SorterTester. Okay, and SorterTester will do what? Well, it's 2014, January 7. Let's see, what does it do? It compares three strings returning in lexicographic, I think it's lexicographic order. I think that's correct. Alrighty. All right, so this is SorterTester, and this is sorter. All right, and this is SorterTester, and this is SorterTester. And how about we take the input from the command line? String 1, string 2, string 3, like that. Okay, and this is SorterTester. So no strange input imports here for scanner or Geoption Paint or anything like that. And done. Good. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the input. String S1 equals, well, arg0. And do that 2 more times. Alrighty. And then let's construct a sorter object. Since we're testing sorter, we've got to make a sorter object, right? So sorter foo equals new sorter, and S1, S2, S3 in any order, and eventually it'll print out in lexicographical order. Lexicographic order. Yeah, I guess that's correct. Okay, let's just do get first to start. So system, again, no mutators here, .out.println, quote first equals, let's see, foo.getFirst. Please excuse the bell in my school. Get first. All right, let's figure this out first, and then we can figure out get second and get last. Okay? So that's that, and that's that. Okay, there's your tester so far. All right, let's go to sorter. All right, so what does that tell me? I have 3 strings for input in my constructor, and I have 1 accessor to write get first. Okay, good. So let's start sorter. So this is sorter.java, and your name and the date, 2014, January 7. Okay, so public class sorter. Oops, what have we done? Alrighty. Alright, so the first thing we can do is we can write the constructor. Alright, public or not? Excuse me, public or not? Public. It's used in any other class, obviously. Void or not? Well, it's not returning anything. It's not a void. It's just the name of the class. Sorter. Whoops. And then it's a string, S1, and a string, S2. You can call it something else. It doesn't have to be S1, S2, S3. and a string S3. And how about we just, that'll be the name of our private instance fields too. So this dot S1 equals S1, so we can store it there, sort of almost like a global variable. Let's not say that. That's bad. Okay, and S2 and S3. And so let's make our private instance fields. Private string S1. And 2 more times. Okay, so that's going to be S2, that's going to be S3. Okay, so how do we figure out the first? Let's see. All right, so get first is an accessor. Public or not? Public, of course. Use any other class, the main class. Void or not? No, it returns a string, the first one in lexicographical order. And it's called get first. Didn't we call that in the tester? Whatever we called it in the tester, it's up to the programmer. All right, so let's say, like last time, let's make a temporary string now. I'm returning a string. Call it temp. Initialize it to an empty string. And then if, let's see, let's say S1. When is S1 the first one? When S1 is before S2 and S1 is before S3, right? So, whoops. So how about this? What if S1 dot compareTo? We're going to use the compareTo method defined in the string class from the comparable interface. And we talked about this in class. Like the first line of the string class would be public class string implements. Comparable. Just like any class that you write, like this one, public class sorter extends object, but that's automatic. You don't have to write that. We'll talk about extends and implements a little bit more as we go. So if S1.compareTo S2 is negative, that means that S1 comes before S2 lexicographically. Now, we also have to have that S1 comes before S3. So we did an and then we did S1.compareTo, and this is in camel case, obviously, S3, and close the if. If that's the case, then temp is S1. Now remember what we use, and then we'll return temp. Now remember why we're using temp, because if we're doing separate if statements with just then clauses, right? There's no else. And what if all these if clauses are false? None of the then clauses operate. You're not going to return anything. You're required to return a string. So, and last time we were required to return a double. So let's make a temporary string and put what we want into it, and then we'll return that. Now there's going to be a lot more if statements going on here, but well, actually 2 more. What if it's S2? What if it's S3? But there's another problem. The Boolean operators are not, they don't have an order of operations. Like, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So everything's done from left to right. Problem is this. You can't and a string with an int. What? So you have to resolve this first. You need a lot of parentheses when you're dealing with Booleans. You have to resolve whether this is true or false first, and whether this is true or false, so that when you get to the and clause, you already have a true or false over here, a true or false over here, and you can and them, okay? So be careful with all the parentheses in order of operations stuff. There is no order of operations with Boolean operators. Just go from left to right unless you have parentheses. All right, let's move this up a little bit. So that's how you figure out if S1 is first. Well, what if that's false? Well, do it again. Okay, whoops, I meant to put it like this. Yeah, that's fine. All right, so let's see how about S2. If S2 comes before S1 and S2 comes before S3, then it's got to be S2 that we return. And likewise, if S3 comes before S1 and S3 comes before S2, then it's S3 that we have to return. And let's assume that all these are 3 distinct strings, so it's got to return somebody. All right, let's test that much. Okay, I think I have a shell open here already. Not that one. That one. Now I got to clear this. I got to get out of C5X5. So CD ... Then I got to go to C5X7. C5X7. And let's list everything that's correct. So say Java C sorter tester. What did I mess up? Whoa, I messed up. What did I do? Public sorter. Oh, why did I put a semicolon there? There shouldn't be any semicolon on this line, on the signature line of the constructor. So let's go up there and get rid of that. That was silly. Okay, we know that. Let's test that. Now clear. Java C. Oh, there's more stuff. What I do? Oh, duh. Silly me. This is either it's either true or false that it's less than 0, right? Remember, what I didn't say is that compareTo returns a negative if S1 comes first, returns a positive if S2 comes first. If S1 comes second, in other words, and it returns 0 if they're the same string, right? So what happened here? We forgot to put the less than 0. Duh. It's been a long day, sorry. So I need a less than 0 right here, right? Yeah. And here. And here. Sorry about that little typo. All right, let's see. Did that do it? Let's find out. Good. All right, so let's run this with 3 strings on the command line for input. How about Tom, Dick, and Harry? And the first should be what? Dick. What happened? What'd I do? Public string get first. String temp is blank. Return temp. And wait, are none of these true? What happened? Did I do something weird? If S1 that compared to S2 is negative and S1 that compared to S3 is negative, then it's S1, right? If S2 that compared to S1 is negative and S2 that compared to S3 is negative, then return S2, right? And if S3 that compare to S1 is negative and S3 that compare S2 is negative, then return S3. So make temp equal to S3 and return temp, right? What did I do? I did something crazy. Where's my tester? Return get first. 1, 2, 3. Oh, look what I did. I inputted Tom, Dick, and Harry, but I'm only reading Tom, Tom, Tom. Whoops. Okay, 1, 2. There you go. Silly me. All right, let's do a clear. Let's do a Java C. Let's do a Java, and it's Dick. Good. Okay. Now, it's probably easier to get third first. Look, isn't get third the same thing as almost the same thing as get first? What if S1 dot compared to S2 is greater than 0 and S1 dot compared to S3 is greater than 0? Then S1 comes after everybody, right? So all these less thans have to be greater than. So, whoops, leave this alone. Copy this over to make it get third, right? So we'll copy that, highlight it, Control C, then Control V, and we'll call this get third, or get last or something if you want. Okay, so get third. Okay, and make all of these greater thans. So if S1 comes after S2 and S3, then return S1, or temp is S1, then return temp. Same thing here. If S2 comes after S1, that's what a compared to being positive means, and S2 comes after S3, both then return, or temp is S2 and then return temp. And likewise down here. So let's see here. All right, that's get third. Save that, go to the tester. Let's add another line for get third. All right, and that's third. Save it. All right, so clear it. Java C it. What did I mess up? What did I mess up? Nothing. And run it. Now, get third would be what, Tom? Yep. All right, now how do you get middle? That's a little more tricky. Let's think about this. When is S1 the middle? Well, S1 is the middle if it's not the first or the last. So how do we say that they're not the same? Well, if they're the same, it's equals. Dot equals is true. So not the same is a not equals, right? A negation. All right, here we go. Let's see how I'm going to write this. All right, let me copy this. Let's call it get second. And let's say if S1 dot equals get first. Let's see here. If that equals get first, that's the equals open close, that's the first open close, that's the, okay, that's to figure out if it's true or false. And I want to know if that's not the case. If S1 is not first, likewise if S1 is not third, that's what we want. There you go. So I don't care about positive or negative, it's not a comparative. All right, that sounds good. All right, so if S1 is not first and S1 is not third, then it had to be second, right? Okay. Now, let me copy. All right, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to copy this. No. Okay. Now, let's see. If S2 is not the first and S2 is not the third, then temp is S2 and return temp. And likewise, if S3 is not the first or the second, then temp becomes S3 and we return that. All right, so go to the tester and add a line for second. All right, let's see how this works. Okay, so clear it. What did I mess up now? Oh, okay, and run it. So Tom, Dick, and Harry. Let's see. Tom is last, Dick is first, Harry's the middle. Ta-da! And it doesn't matter what the order you put it in. What if you put Harry first? Still works out, right? What if you put in Dick first? There you go. The problem is that they have to be distinct, don't they? What if it's, I don't know, Al, Al, Al? See, that's a problem. Yeah, so it's distinct. So the precondition for this program is that the inputs are three different strings, and then the postcondition is that they come out in lexicographic order. Otherwise, if you don't meet the precondition, then you're on your own. The output can be meaningless, really. Okay, so I don't know, 1, 2, 3. Now, in that case, O becomes A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, right? T. O comes before T, and TW comes after TH. So perfect, very nice. And again, it doesn't matter what order you plug them in. What about 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1? You get the same output, right? And how about 3, I don't know, 3, 1, 2? I don't know, 1, 2, all kinds of permutations here. Okay, that's it, we're done. So let's say that we're done. Bye-bye, YouTube. Have a nice day.